Placing a tenant can make or break you as a landlord and an investor in real estate, because there are not many cases or any stories I've ever heard of someone saying, hey, I had great tenants in real estate, but I just hated real estate altogether, so I got out of it. Typically, the story goes, hey, real estate's a great investment and I understand that, but I just could not deal with the tenant, so I had to get out. Of course, tenants are going to be a necessary evil when renting and when investing in multifamily properties. And this video is made for people who are just placing their first tenants, and they're probably starting out and literally just bought a rental property and has to fill a vacant unit, or maybe you inherited tenants but the time has finally came when they left and now you have to actually place your first tenants that you get to choose yourself. Because chances are, if you're a serious investor with a decent amount of units, you're probably just hiring a property manager, hiring this part of the process out and not having to deal with anything to do with actually getting tenants into your property and actually screening the tenants individually. So the first thing you're going to want to do before even advertising or screening any tenants is, of course, getting your unit ready for that new tenant. Now, depending on how the last previous tenants left your apartment, it probably depends on what you need to do to get it ready for the new ones. Typically, when a regular tenant leaves my apartments, I've never had them where there's any damage extensively, so typically I will either repaint while I'm going around fixing things, or if it doesn't need really repainting because maybe they were only there a year, I'll just fix everything that needs to be fixed and then hire a cleaner to come do a super deep clean before the new tenants show up so that it is spotless for their arrival. Then during this time, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to want to actually ask for rent when you do make the advertisement. Now what you want to try to think about is, of course, what are you going to charge for rent? What utilities are you going to include with rent? How long of a lease are you going to make them sign? Are you going to allow dogs? What about smoking? All these like little details in the actual lease are the things you're going to want to straighten out so that you actually know, hey, when a tenant reaches out, this is what I'm looking for in these. It's going to be a year lease, no dogs, whatever you decide on. Just make sure you actually get that information clear so that you're not like switching it up for some special case when a tenant comes in. Have your guidelines set before you start placing tenants, because you want to follow your rules, because you're the landlord and you're the operator of this business. And a quick tip I want to throw in here is with the length of the actual lease, the actual term length. And the reason I want to mention this is because a friend of mine that has many more units than I do actually told me he prefers to do month-to-month leases instead of year leases, which kind of caught me off guard because I asked the question, well, wouldn't you want the peace of mind of having a year lease already signed, knowing that you don't have to worry about placing another tenant? And he brought up a really good point. He's like, well, in this market, it's so hot for real estate, whether you're renting or if you're buying, it's just a super hot real estate market. So he's like, I'm just going to sign a month-to-month lease in case they're a bad tenant and I can get them out a lot quicker than if I actually had them signed up in a whole year lease. It would just be much more of a hassle to get them out. So because of the condition of the market, he changed the way he does his leases. So it's something to definitely kind of keep in line with the real estate market and see what's happening and what you should be offering for your actual apartments to get the best tenants in place. Then once you have all the pertinent information decided upon, you're going to want to actually advertise your property so people actually see it and you get some applications. And the way I usually do this is with apartments.com and with Facebook Marketplace, which I usually just link my apartments.com link into so that they can get brought to that page. And the reason is because I use apartments.com as my property management site and the way I collect rent payments. So when I link that in, they go right to my listing on apartments.com and they can have the application right there where they can fill it out, put in their application. They can also do the credit check and the background check all in one place. It makes it super simple to do. Now, when you actually go to set up showings, because of course people are going to want to see the unit in person before actually getting the unit most cases. I have had one person that was his sister looked at it and then he just moved in. But most of the time people want to see it. So what I usually do is I'll set up 1 to 2 days where I set up back-to-back showings for tenants. Usually they're only like 10-15 minute showings. It's just an apartment. There's not a ton of things to show. I used to set like 20 or 30 minutes. It was a lot of dead time. Don't do that. 10 minutes is plenty just to show them around, explain some things, get some info from them, and then you're on your merry way to the next one. And the way I usually do this is I like to have them come and actually talk to me talk about their situation, what they're looking for, how many people would be living there if they have pets, all that important stuff that you want to know as a landlord, because again, you're renting your house out to somebody else. So if I meet them and everything with them sounds pretty good, what they're telling me, how much they make, what they can afford in rent, if all that sounds good, after they leave the showing that day, I'll send them the link to the apartments.com to actually make sure they fill out the application, do the background and the credit check. And sometimes people will actually just take initiative and fill out those applications right away with clicking on the listing the first time, and I'll just receive an email, so-and-so filled out an application for this apartment. And you go on there and they filled everything out, which is super great. But the thing is, you have to pay money for the background and the credit check. And if you haven't seen the apartment in person, I haven't met you in person, it's going to be a less likely chance that you're going to be the one that gets placed because, well, I don't know if you're real. So like, of course, with a background check, they're running it on a real person, but it's still a little bit weird that way, because I actually had a background check that not good. I met the guy and I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but like, you came up as like a sex offender. And he's like, what? He's like, no. He's like, no, I didn't. And I was like, I showed him. I was like, this. And it was some dude in Wisconsin. I'm in New Hampshire. He's like, that's not me. I don't know how that happened. And he literally showed, it was not him. It was very strange. So be careful with that stuff, because it can be a little sketchy sometimes. But the reason I like to do it after is because, again, those two things, the background and credit check, are paid for, and I don't get any of the money. It's not like I'm the one collecting it. Apartments.com is the one charging them, and then they just send me the report. They're the ones getting the money. So that's one thing to clear, because some people always think, oh, well, there's an application fee. Do I get that back? It's not like I'm taking an application fee. They're taking an application fee. So that's the thing, and you can't get it back. So that's why I usually like to have the tenants come, meet me, see the apartment in person to actually like decide that they're serious, because pictures and seeing places in person are so different. Trust me, I'm a real estate agent. I deal with it all the time with buyers. They're like, how did these pictures look so good? And this is what it is in real life. I'm like, cause pictures can be edited. All right, so after that long tangent I somehow went on, after you finally get everyone application in, of course, you're going to want to review those applications and decide on the best one that fits your situation. Now, of course, every case is going to be different. Depending on what state you're in, you probably have different laws that you have to follow while placing tenants. But whatever it is, you want to find the one that actually, you know, usually, at least with me, when I meet people, I get kind of some type of feeling, a vibe off them that you can tell what they're going to be like, if they're going to be a problem or not. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but most of the times people show something. And you're going to want to find someone that you actually like felt, hey, they're going to take care of my unit, they're going to respect my unit, and they're going to respect me as a landlord. And that's the way you want to do it. And of course, there's going to be the financial approval and making sure, and that screening is good too. And typically the rule of thumb is the tenants should make 3 times the amount of rent. And the reason they say 3 times the amount of rent is because if you're going to buy a house and go get a home loan, the lender wants your debt to income ratio around 36% or lower. So as a rental, they set it about 3 times, which is of course 33%. So that's kind of where that rule of thumb gets based off of. And of course, depending on where you are in the country, this could be a very easy target to meet for some people, only having to make 3 times, where other areas of the country that might be almost impossible, because if they could afford that, why wouldn't they just go buy a house? So of course it's going to kind of be where you're at and justify how that works. But for example, you're not going to want to place a tenant that makes $3,000 a month while your rental cost is $1,800 a month and you have no utilities included. Do you really think that's going to work out well if he has to pay over 50% of his net income to just live, and then he has to pay for utilities and food and car insurance and health insurance? Like, you got to think a little bit, all right? Even if you feel bad for him, just be like, hey, that does not meet my standards. Like, you're not going to be able to afford rent, essentially, with that type of situation. Like, you're kind of just asking for something to go wrong, because if he has one hiccup in bills, he might not be able to afford rent. Then once you decide on a tenant, I personally always meet the tenant at the property, at the actual apartment, go over the lease, we sign the lease together. This way we're both kind of communicating each other that, hey, you as a tenant actually understand what I'm asking for as a landlord and how you have to treat the property and actually live in it, and you just actually understand everyone's on the same page. Let's get this signed. And then the other thing you're going to want to get signed is a move-in condition form. And if you want to send me a message or a DM on Instagram, I can always send you mine. But essentially all it is just a form that lists just about everything in an apartment. And then you and the tenant literally physically walk around the apartment, go through each room, and you check off what the condition of everything is. Then at the end, you both agree, hey, this is a condition. Currently, as of today, you are moving in and you're going to be responsible for everything from here on out. So if there ends up being a massive hole in the wall, well, guess what? That's on you. You're going to have to be the one repairing it and dealing with the cost of that. So this move-in condition form is super, super important, because whenever that tenant does move out and you go in and maybe there's a huge issue, you can pull out that form and be like, hey, we both signed this. We both know that that hole wasn't there when you moved in, so therefore you're the one who caused it. So it's a super important thing to have, to hold both people to the same page. Everyone understands this is a condition, this is what we're agreed to. We both saw it with our eyes. And if you even want to go above and beyond, take a video or take some pictures before you actually give them the keys to the apartment. And of course, at the same time, you're going to be wanting to collect your first month's rent and the security deposit, and boom, you have placed your first tenant. So again, I use apartments.com as my property management system. I don't have any affiliation with them. I've just used them for like 5 years, and they're pretty smooth and I like them a lot. And again, you can do the whole application process on there, and you can also just set them up with an online portal where they can link their bank account, I believe, to the actual portal, and they can even set up auto pay. So it works out great as a property management and an actual investor seeing your stuff come in pretty easily. So that's basically the video. Again, tenants are going to be the make it or break it in real estate investing. Some people just don't take the time to actually properly screen a tenant, so they end up with really crappy tenants, and they wonder why they have such bad luck. Well, maybe because you didn't actually do a process to screen out the bad people and get the good tenants. So I hope this video helped you out. I hope you set up a great tenant in your rental. And if you're looking to buy multifamily or investment properties in New Hampshire, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to help. I do have a decent amount of experience up here. So with that said, I will catch you guys next week.